Well, you took almost 2 years to focus on your health and still manage to sustain your business. What did that teach you about productivity, sustainability, the way you define work? Ah,
So much. Holy moly. Like, okay. I was like running laps in high heels in the shops, like staying late every single night, one night, like get into a jumpsuit to undercoat cars because all these guys are complaining because they say they can't get it done. So I'm like, screw you guys. One of the guys, will you stay and load these cars for me one after another? He's like, yeah. So those kinds of
mm,
situations where like if it needed to be done, I'll get it done. But I took it to such an extreme where it was just because I was unwell and I had these symptoms since I was a kid and no one ever could figure them out. I just did my best not to like pay attention to them. And so I would work. And that was what I would do. And then oftentimes, once a month or once every other month or anytime I traveled, my body would shut me down for a few days. And like in a bunch of we're not going to talk about ways, like it just not good. Nothing was working. None of my systems are okay. And then I finally reached this place where I could tell something more serious was happening. Like it was like my body was getting too tired to do it anymore. And I had this realization and I had slowed down what I thought slowed down
mm,
before that. And then basically what happened is I flew to Utah to go speak in an event with one of my best friends who I'm so comfortable with and never have a stress around. And I just couldn't control my body. Like I was projectile vomiting. It was like a whole thing. I got in a car and drove
like a
home from
panic
Utah.
attack?
It's like my body would have these panic attacks because once I would settle, all the things I was ignoring all day long all came in at the same time. So it would last for days though. And so when that happened in Utah, I told Tony, my fiance, I'm like, I cannot put my body back on an airplane. It would be so, talk about devotion. I was like,
Mm.
it would be the opposite of creating a relationship with my body if I do that. He's like, whatever, it's 19 hours, right? I'm like, I don't care. So I rented a car and I drove home. It was like a drastic step that I made in my relationship with myself. And since then, um, I remember like laying in our room sobbing, going, even if tomorrow somebody gave me a pill that made all of my symptoms go away, there's all this backlog. I have to do something different. I would go right back into working like a crazy person and then there'd be another problem because it's not healthy
Mhm.
no matter what. So to like spare you all of the medical details and stuff, but it's functional medicine. Luckily has I found the right people that were willing to go through it with me, healing root causes of things. So when you heal the root cause, it's not comfortable. It takes a long time. I've done a lot of protocols that are not fun over the past year and a half. And during that, I realized that energetically, my energy output was so big that I had nothing else left to be able to take care of my health, what I needed to take care of, which is why I took a step back from podcasting, from posting. Like I was a girl who was live on Facebook every day, posting a long form post, posting a quote, doing an episode, like all constant content. Okay.
Yeah.
And realizing, none of that shit matters if I'm not okay. And I'm not okay anymore. This isn't going to work. And it made me realize one of the things that helped me build my online presence was the commitment to being in integrity. So just no longer was in integrity anymore. So I took a huge step back. I was able to have a conversation with each of my private clients, which I speak to once a week on a call, and maneuver their schedule around a little bit to where I was talking to people earlier in the day because I had learned that I had like an okay tolerance of time earlier in the day. But by like 2 o'clock, I was done. Like my system was like, nope, no more brain for you. So like my wittiness was gone. I couldn't think of words half the time. Like it was wild. And I'm just so lucky to have had, while working that hard was not healthy, it did set me up in a way where my people were still there. I still paid my bills. People were still, when I did have the energy to post something, they were still interacting. Like I had built that foundation, which is something I've always taught people. And now I'm teaching them to do it in a way that's not, banging their heads into the ground
Right.
and hurting themselves. And I remember years ago, my therapist had asked me, she was like, would you ask anyone else to do things that way? And I was like, no, that would be terrible of me to expect that of them. And she was like, do you hear what you just said? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh shit. So it was wild. And I just actually, when I met you guys, I had just started being back out, doing things. I had just gone to like our first event. Tony gets invited to a lot of events. And um, there was just, I couldn't, for so long. So I like tipped my toe in, like, am I going to be am I going to be okay? See what happens. And so it's still that way. But what I've learned is that we all say our body's important and our health is important. It's
Until something goes wrong, you really don't.
Yeah. Until you're not listening to your body who's telling you, fuck no, sit down. And then no matter what, like today, I'll be honest, I was the kind of person that it wouldn't have mattered if I was puking in my car before this. I would have come in here and you would have had no idea. Now, I would have called and said, I'm sorry if this like ruins our relationship, but I can't. If that was the case, I had to make that like harsh decision with myself, which was all my own rules. Let's be real. Some people will be jerks about it.
We build shit up in our head way worse than what it actually is.
To me, I'm like, they're going to my whole like adult career. I'm like, people are going to think I'm terrible if I don't blah, blah, blah. So I would just, suck it up or whatever and do it. And it has been a journey of learning about enmeshment, which I don't know if you guys know what that is, but very interesting. So enmeshment is when you are, now I'm not going to give you the perfect textbook definition, but
that's all right. We want Jamie's definition.
Yeah. Well, it's like you're so intertwined in someone else's everything. It's not codependency. It's similar, but it's like, I could do this with some of my clients even almost like where I was so involved in all the decisions they were making that it like physically and emotionally affected me.
Okay.
We do this without thinking often. We do this without realizing that it's happening. My coach had said to me, she was like, it's a lot of energy and commitment to have one really deep, committed relationship. And you're trying to carry on like 20.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I come from a mother who is that way. My mom's like, got the biggest heart you've ever seen. And I didn't know that was any different, So even after all the learning I had done, this was just a few months ago that she was like, you have to start untangling some of the places that you're really tangled up, like lifelong friends and stuff. Well, yeah, I don't want you to fight with your husband all the time, but I don't need to be involved in every fight you have with your husband either. We're not 17 anymore.
Right.
And so a lot of times though, we don't realize we're still doing that, but it's like having holes in your boat. Like you think you're paddling, you're doing a good job, but there's all these holes behind you. You're like, where's all this water coming from? I don't understand. And it's because this energy is going out to these places that you've had for 20 years that you never stopped and thought, oh, I really don't need to do that. So that's been a huge game changer for how I operate in my relationships, in business relationships. And it's been really cool, actually. It's made much more beautiful, respectful relationships, I think, which is awesome to have because I wouldn't have said, oh, my relationships were not respectful before. But now I look at it and I'm like, maybe they weren't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about because you see it a lot within our industry, within my side of the industry, because like my job is to go out and build relationships with real estate agents, financial advisors, insurance agents. I mean, it's like I have like, I'm married to 30 or 40 people that I got to like those relationships that I got to maintain. And like, there's people that are like, it's just common to see. And it's always promoted build relationships. And it's like, I don't know how many more relationships I can actually take on and still be able to function and be able to be there for my kids and give them they're the ones that deserve the best of my relationship.
Yeah.
Well, and give out like the top, like your best quality work.
Right.
Too.
Exactly.
Like, cause like the second you start putting more on your plate, then the quality of your work's going to suffer.
Oh, absolutely.
When we beat ourselves up about that too, then it just becomes this little mess.
Cycle.
Yeah.
It's just a cycle.
Yep. This little, not good.
No, not fun at all.
Yeah. Well, so you talk about creating business that complements your personal life rather than consuming it. What's the first step someone should take who is feeling overwhelmed?
I think, this is fun. Take a real look at what's on your plate and what actually you need to be doing.
Okay.
A lot of times so say you make a list and you don't get to everything. So the thing from that list gets moved over and then you make another list and you don't get, and it's still that same one thing, but it gets moved to the next week and the next week and the next week. So then we're constantly feeling we have this tower of things above us. And a lot of times some of that stuff was either already handled and you just didn't realize it or is no longer relevant. So often I like to explain it like you have a platter in front of you. It's also looking at, okay, what's time sensitive? If there are time sensitive things on your plate that are making you feel overwhelmed, handle those first. And then you can break down the other. Is there anything you can delegate? Is there anything that you can call someone and say, hey, Pat, I'm not going to be able to get this done for a couple of weeks. Is that okay? Most of the time, the other person, unless they give you a specific date, they don't care. But you care. So it's causing all this stress on you. So taking a really honest look at what's on your plate and knowing that like no one's judging you by this. Your validity as a human isn't made up on this platter. And that's because that's what causes us to stay overwhelmed long term, I think.
Totally agree.
I heard this recently, and I didn't know this. And Napoleon had this strategy where he would wait 3 weeks to respond to correspondence for that very reason, because he said, one, it will either, by the time I get to it, it's either not important anymore, it's no longer relevant. Two, it was already solved, and if it's still there, then I know that it's important and I can solve it right then and there. So I thought that was, because that's essentially what I like with emails. Like I'm inundated with emails, hundreds and hundreds of emails a day. I check it 3 times a day. When I wake up in the morning, at lunch, before I end of the day, make sure I get everything cleared out, because I wouldn't be able to get shit done if I'm sitting there just answering emails all day.
Yeah.
Like, I said this to my assistant the other day, because he was emailing. If you'd respond to your emails, I'm like, if I sat here and waited for you just to respond to an email, I wouldn't have a job, because I wouldn't be bringing business in, So yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think, like you said, people work things up or build things up too much in our head and think that we have to have this thing done right here and right now, when really it's like, all right, I got some time to do this. So that's something that I've been working with my business partner on, because, he's old school, where it's like, hey, if someone calls in and is asking for a pre-approval, it has to be done right here, right now, as of today. I'm like, yeah, no, Nick, they're like, ask him, like, what's your timeline? When are you thinking about buying? Oh, not for a couple weeks or a couple months. Oh, great. I'm going to, let me get your documents. And then we'll schedule a Zoom call. And then once I have that scheduled, then I have a timeline on when I have to get this done. And so, yeah, that's been one of the biggest things that's allowed me the freedom to do what I do. And it's been great.
Well, like the instant gratification thing you mentioned earlier, that's the problem. I tell people all the time, like, if you have your social media notifications on, like, why?
Yeah.
Oh,
because
I turn those off.
No emergencies are happening.
No.
Like, and same thing in email. If there's an emergency, they're going to call you.
Yes.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
That end of
Or
story.
text.
Yeah. I can't remember the last time that my phone dinged. That wasn't a phone call. Like, I don't get notifications or an alarm, because I use it to keep me on track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a thing. We're so worried that we're going to miss something. And what it does is it just causes a nasty ripple effect to everything else that we're doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like like Pat said, we're constantly inundated with emails, and it's just like I'll miss an email for sure. Like, cause I'm like, I always let my clients know right away. Like, if something's important, call me or text me, because I check my email, and I don't know, I'm not probably more than 3 times a day, but I need to be better about it some days, because there's some days I'll go by and I only check it once or something, but then there'll be other days where I'm on it all day. And, but I'll miss emails. So I'm like, you gotta text me, you gotta call me, because that's the stuff that I respond to immediately.
Yeah. I always tell people,
Usually.
if you email me, text me that you email me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's important.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So